adventure. Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, I think so.
We are live.
We're live? All right. Well, welcome everyone to our very special adventure cast this evening in honor of International Women's Day. I thought that it would be fun for the women of OVAP to chat a little bit, and you guys can get to know us a little bit. And yeah, we'll go over a few fun things going on here at OVAP and some of our favorite products. Actually, I will give you a bit of a lowdown on what we are doing. I'll give you an agenda. But first of all, we'll just start with our introductions. So I'm Lana, and this is...
Hi, I'm Sandy.
Lovely Sandy. Would you like to do...
Absolutely. Yeah, so to start, I just want to say that we are on the unceded territories of the Anishinaabe Algonquin peoples here in Arnprior, Ontario, where our store is at 67 Madawaska Street.
Yeah. So a bit of an agenda that we're going to go over tonight is we'll do a little bit of about us, who we are, where we came from, what we do at the store. We'll go over a few of our fun outdoor stories from over the years, our upcoming adventure hikes, and Sandy will talk a little bit about the ones that we've already had. Some of our favorite women-specific products here at OVAP, some of the challenges and fears that women often face in the outdoor industry. It's a real thing. Some tips and tricks for learning new outdoor activities. And then we also have a special discount at the end of the show, so please stick around if you're curious to hear what that might be. And then we will have just a little dedicated question and answer session if anybody has any questions. So think about those now if you have anything, and drop them. You can drop them in the comments at any point in time, but we will have a dedicated answer period, I guess, at the end. So yeah, we'll start with a little bit about us. You want to go first there?
Yeah, so I first really fell in love with nature on the Canadian Shield here via Parry Sound, where my family lives. We spent summers there visiting them in Parry Sound and on the Wissahickon First Nations reservation there. So my cousins and I, they're Ojibwe, Anishinaabe Ojibwe, and my sister, the four of us were really close in age, so we had a lot of fun playing outside. Really just kind of a great foundation of learning what the consequences are of playing outside, playing near water.
Definitely.
Yeah, and having that kind of spatial awareness, awareness of your own physical abilities. You're pushing yourself mentally to kind of do some things. I remember there's a jumping rock nearby that we'd collect rocks, paint little inspirational quotes on them, and then place them around the shoreline, including by this jumping rock.
That's
so
cute.
Yeah, once you get out there, you kind of need the encouragement to go down. The only way was to jump. But yeah,
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Inspirational quotes there.
Yeah, it was a really sweet little childhood that set a foundation for appreciating being outside and having a sense of adventure.
How high was the rock?
I think it was probably around 20 feet. I'm bad at gauging heights and distances, not a skill of mine. But I imagine it would still be intimidating to me as an adult. It wasn't just like a little rock for kids.
Good for you. I think I remember we had a cottage actually sort of in that sort of same area, like Severn Falls area, not quite Parry Sound. We boated to Parry Sound once.
Lovely.
But I've only ever jumped off of one rock. I think it was only maybe 15 feet high, but you get up there and you're like, this is terrifying.
For sure. Especially from the angle, it always looks shorter than when you get up there and you're like, I have to do this now. I've committed. Okay. All right.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, my love of the outdoors and indigenous culture as I was, exposed to it led me to study English lit, Canadian lit out west. Where I got to do lots more hiking, from rugged coastal trails to getting up to lakes on the tops of mountains. It was a wonderful space to, really explore. And yeah, I'm so glad to be back in the area where I fell in love with nature and the Canadian Shield, and there's so many places around here to enjoy. It's been really awesome to be able to share that with other folks too, and I'll talk more about doing that when we talk about the tours.
Yeah. Sandy's kind of been all over the place here in Canada, a true Canadian wanderer.
Yeah. I've been really lucky to enjoy lots of Canadian vistas.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Lana, as I said, the co-owner with Scott, my husband, the person who is normally on these adventure casts. I do a lot of the marketing and the social media, email marketing, the content creation, I guess. You could say that Scott is the face of the business and I'm kind of the voice. Sometimes the voice of reason as well behind the scenes. But yeah, that's what I do here. My background is actually in graphic design. I went to Durham College for that. That kind of transferred into marketing over the years. I had a hard time actually finding a job within graphic design. I worked in real estate, went into marketing, and that was super helpful with building our business too. Scott had his sales side, I had my marketing side, and together we were able to create something like a store that we have today. But anyway, so for the outdoors kind of part of my life, I grew up, like I said, I grew up like in a very, very small town near Halliburton, so about 2.5 hours east of here. It was like a touristy, I don't even know if you call it touristy. It was just a very small cottagey town, I guess you could call it. So there weren't, yeah, it was like a beautiful area to grow up in, but naturally, as a kid, you're like, I need to get out of here and explore the city, right? So I was ready to get out of there when I was like 18 and came to the city, and then we decided later on in life that we wanted to come back out to the country sort of area. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here, but definitely like a country girl by heart, at heart, I guess. And we spent a lot of summers at my parents' cottage, as I mentioned before. So there was a lot of, we did a lot of like power sports. So there was a lot of like sea doing, or in the wintertime, we would do a lot of snowmobiling. So I didn't do a lot of like man powered sports, I guess you could say, up until recently, which is funny because we own a kayaking store. I hadn't kayaked myself until about 6 years ago. Funny little tidbit about me. But anyway, I've really grown to enjoy that kind of slowing down and getting a chance to really notice nature and just learn more about it and have like such a passion for the outdoors in just a different way, just a slowing down way. So it's yeah, it's been interesting. But I think once we moved out here to Arnprior, it was I hadn't really spent a lot of time in Arnprior. I don't know about you, like the valley at all, like.
No, my sister hadn't moved up this way. We grew up in southern Ontario, but she went to Carleton University. So when my folks retired and decided where in the country they wanted to go, they settled up here. And yeah, so yeah, my sister ended up staying in the area. So that's how we all came up to this area. Yeah.
Nice. And it's a beautiful area.
Mhm.
It was like obviously Scott and I lived in Ottawa, then moved to Arnprior. And I remember thinking there's just so much water here because we were bringing a kayak business to the area, and it was like, are we going to succeed in the Ottawa Valley? But then you start looking at the maps and all of the different waterways, like you've got the Ottawa River, you've got the Madawaska River, you've got Mississippi's just down the street. Like it's everything is right nearby. There's tons of lakes as well. There's just so much. Like Algonquin Park is really close by. So it's, I think my favorite part about the valley would be all of the lakes and the waterways that you can explore. What would your favorite be?
I have to say the same. I've always had an idea of living near Algonquin Park and to be able to access it. I know we have a couple of stories of different adventures we've been on, and that's top of my list, is being able to be so close to what seems like pristine wilderness. We are really lucky in the comforts that we have, you know, living in the cities, especially. You can kind of get that sense of that. But then to be able to access such a wilderness corridor and yeah, be so close to it, it's a real treat.
It is. It's funny actually because I grew up in like the Halliburton area. I was actually in a very, very small town called Wilberforce, if anyone's ever heard of it. But we were like 20 minutes from like the southern part of Algonquin Park, but we didn't really visit often. Mom and Dad, if you're watching right now, like I think we maybe went like once. I think we saw a moose, but which was great. Scott still has never seen a moose.
Oh,
But fun fact, yeah. But we never really visited, and it probably because we didn't do camping and hiking and kayaking, anything really like that. So over the last few years, getting into that kind of space, that's when you were like, oh my goodness, like Algonquin Park is so cool. It has so much history too that I didn't know about. Like there used to be trains that used to go through there and bring people from the city to the park, and there were different hotels and things. It's just a really interesting place, and I want to learn more about it, and I want to be in it more.
Yeah, Canadian history is really interesting. We have quite a bit of you know, controversial and tough history, and it's interesting to see how we are today as peoples across such a vast country, and have an identity that I think I can generalize and say a lot of that is connected with nature and the beautiful areas that we have available to us as Canadians, that we treasure and protect and enjoy. Yeah. I'm really grateful.
Yeah, Canada is a beautiful place. So, speaking of Canada and adventuring, what's your favorite adventure you've done in Canada?
It's tough to choose, but the story that came to my mind that I want to talk about was going to Acre Park in Algonquin Park. Yeah, so I went in the autumn, just this past autumn, and it was. I've done a lot of solo camping and hiking and traveling. I'm really proud of myself for never letting that hold me back from having experiences that I wanted. And we're going to talk about a
More
bit
on that later.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and so that was one example where I had a random Monday and Tuesday off. So I got in my car and I actually was able to borrow from the store, thank you very much, a beautiful folding kayak. It's really cool. We might be able to talk about that a little bit more in detail. But it was just a 20-pound kayak that I could actually fit in a backpack and carry down to the water. And I'm only 5'2", and I can't, put a kayak on the top of my car by myself. So to have the independence, the technology's just come such a long way that I can go out, feel safe, feel really prepared, and have a paddle, and yeah, have a cozy camp experience like that. So nearby. So yeah, that's the one that came to mind I wanted to share.
That's really cool that it was with an Oru kayak. Too,
Yeah,
because
that's right.
Yeah, it's very true. It makes it a lot more accessible for everybody, really. Like a lot of like seniors have a hard time putting the hard kayaks up on top of their vehicles too, and so it's just. I love the Oru kayaks. They're so cool.
Yeah.
For many reasons.
Singing their praises. I've been able to do something similar at Bon Echo Park here in Ontario as well.
That's cool too.
Yeah, and so to be able to kayak up against this sheer rock cliff of beautiful, like, what is that, pink quartz? I don't know what kind of rock it is.
Yeah, I've never actually been before. I've seen all the pictures. I've never actually been.
Oh, yeah, you gotta go and bring an Oru.
Absolutely. So it's one of my favorite like little excursions that we've done was, I guess it was 2 years ago now, or maybe it was last year, I don't know. We brought 2 of our Oru kayaks, same thing, to Barron Canyon. So that was also a very cool experience because you have to portage, which was our first time portaging, and having the Oru kayaks, they're so light, so literally like we had our 2 beaches, the 2 Oru beaches, and Scott and I just picked up an end and we just hiked through the woods. Like it was no big deal at all to get to the other waterway. And there were lots of other people too who were portaging with their like huge canoes.
Yeah,
and they were watching us.
Heavy aluminum.
Yeah. And we've literally got ours like packed with like all of our food and everything because we had a lovely little picnic under the rock. It was lovely. It was a great time. But yeah, the Orus are really awesome for that. But my other one that I was thinking of too, that's kind of Canada wide, was a couple of, I guess it was in 2016 now. So Scott and I went to BC to, I think a cousin of mine was getting married. And so we went to, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of the Ladner Creek Trestle Bridge. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I haven't.
It's very cool. It's in BC. I think it's near Hope, BC. And it's just, I'd seen pictures of it because I'm also a photographer. So I always see different things on Instagram and I'm like, ooh, I want to do that. And so I saw this it's a gigantic like trestle bridge that's totally abandoned. It's been abandoned for years. It's very much in the middle of nowhere. And I don't think we really knew that at the time. So we brought our little rental car down this road until we could drive no more. And then we got out and started hiking. And a few years ago, we were not very prepared, honestly. We just wore I don't remember what we were wearing for shoes, probably just our running shoes. And just hiked into the woods, knowing there was no one around. We were very far out of town. Honestly, all of this sounds terrible to even think of now, but it was so fun. But we hiked into the woods. I don't know how long the hike was. Maybe an hour into the woods, and it was the side of a cliff kind of thing. And again, we're wearing our running shoes, and there's little pebbles that are falling down. It was pretty crazy. But anyway, we finally got there and we saw this huge trestle bridge, and it was totally worth it. It was so cool.
Were you able to cross it?
We could have, but we weren't sure if we should or not.
Yeah.
So we kind of walked out a little bit, took some pictures, and then we were like, okay, maybe we should go. But yeah, on the walk back, I remember Scott grabbed a walking stick, and I didn't really think of it at the time, but later on I think it was because he was just in case if there's any sort of wild animals or anything, just have a little weapon. Yeah. Yeah, things that you just don't think of at the time. But
good to anyway. Current, lots of cool technology available these days.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't have any bear spray or anything. Just the things that could have went wrong there. Don't do what we did. Be more prepared than us. But anyway, all that to say, it was a lot of fun, and it's still one of the memories that comes to mind. And I actually have some photos that I will share tomorrow on an Instagram post so you guys can see them.
Yeah, same here.
Yours too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I guess speaking of hiking, we have some upcoming adventure hikes, and can you maybe tell us about the ones that you've already been holding?
Yeah, absolutely. So our first hikes that we as a company have put on are right here in town, which is so nice to, bring folks into our town that has quite a lot to offer in terms of nature.
Mhm.
So the McNamara Trail is named after a field naturalist guide who's local to the area and really helpful and important in preserving some land that's called the Noping Game Sanctuary that's on some private land owned by Niling Canada. So thank you to Nylene for letting folks access the land because Charles McNamara, he realized, there's a lot less beavers in his time. This is the 1800s, and beavers were wildly popular in Canadian history. And he noticed some colonies there, and he said, let's try to protect them. And so, yep, there's I think it's 287 acres of protected area. It's quite a vast park. I was really impressed going in there to, curate the tour that we were going to offer.
It's kind of a hidden gem too in your
Yeah.
car. I feel like there's people who don't even know it exists. It's in such a like beside Nylene, you would never even think. But,
Yep.
yeah.
And we've had feedback of, I've lived here, I've lived in the area, and I've never gone in the winter. And I think that the winter has been a really beautiful time to go explore because you can get an appreciation of the vastness of the trees here.
Mhm.
So it was in around by the 1880s, 90% of the whole of the Ottawa Valley had been logged. And so to have a couple pieces of land in our area that are really pristine, beautiful forests that didn't have the same fate is really special. So yeah, you can go see amazing tall white pines, old growth white pines that are some of the tallest in the whole country, and certainly in Ontario. So
Pretty amazing.
yeah, it's been awesome to go and actually collaborate with the field naturalists. McNamara Field Naturalists Club. They've been really great in collaborating and sharing information that we can share with other folks who are on the tour. And it's just full of wildlife, right? So
Yeah.
there's some bird feeders up in the winter to support the birdies, and chickadees, nuthatches, lots of squirrels in there, and you actually have a couple little offshoots of the trail that go into the marsh. So you can see a beaver, a dam right in the marsh. You can see it from the boardwalk. And the other day we were really lucky. We actually got to see a saw-whet owl. It's
So cool.
so cute. It looked like a little stuffy. It was actually really, really petite. I thought it was a baby, but you guys are, well, in Scott's words, bird nerds.
We dabble.
Yeah. And so you identified it right away, and it was really cute to be able to see it in its habitat, and it was chilling. It was okay with us being there. We took some photos, and then
Cool.
yeah.
So I did a little bit of reading on it. It's actually not a solid.
Oh no.
But
Okay.
it's very close. So I used I used my iPhone to because you can look up what the animal is. So that's what I did, and it said it was a boreal owl, sorry. And apparently they're very rare. Like the sightings, you don't see them often. They're nocturnal, so seeing them during the day is also very rare. But yeah, I was just reading about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, the fact that you guys saw it was really cool.
Yeah, and they've done a great job of putting little owl houses specifically up around and bird houses. Lots of woodpeckers in there.
Yes, the pileated woodpeckers. We have a ton of those in our park.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really cool.
And so if you come on the tour, you can see lots of little holy trees where the woodpeckers are really happy.
It's interesting too because you start to hear them, and then you start to know which birds that you can hear.
Totally.
Which is a lot of fun too. Well, to me, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's fun.
Absolutely, it is. Well, it's a sense of accomplishment when you can say, okay, that's a blue jay, and that's a raven, and that's a chickadee dee dee.
Nuthatch. So we have the next one. The first, the next one that's coming up is on Saturday, and it's our Little Explorers Kids Hike.
Yeah.
So that one's going to be a fun one for the kids, and you've got a little bingo card ready for them. Which is really cool.
Lots of cute things to point out and learn about on the trail as we go through. And the chickadees are friendly, so hopefully the little kiddos can feed some birds.
Yeah. And then, so I guess the next one after that will be on the 22nd. We have an easy hike.
Yeah, so there's basically 3 hikes that we put together for the McNamara Trail. It's worked out really nicely that if you want to go all the way to Goodwin's Bay, you get a view of the Ottawa River, which is awesome. There's so much history connected to the Ottawa River.
It's a really nice view, especially in the winter too, because I've been in the summer and you couldn't see the water, so it's nice.
Yeah. So that's the longest hike that we'll offer in there, and that's kind of, we consider it intermediate just because the pace is pretty high. You know, you're probably going to have a little body warmth, which you'd want in the winter anyway. And then there's an easy hike that's just a nice accessible spot. We don't quite go as far as Goodwin's Bay, but we do go into the marshlands and on the tower and check out the
I
view
was
there.
thinking the wrong thing before, sorry.
Oh.
At the marsh is where you can't see the water. And
That's
you're
right.
probably like, what?
Like, well, on
you go right to the water at Goodwin's.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you can see like the Gatineau Hills in the background. It's nice this
Very
time of year, like a dusting of snow. And then yeah, so there's an easy hike that's just a little bit shorter, a little bit of slower pace, but still get to enjoy lots of viewpoints. And then the children's hike, so that'll go to the bird feeders. It's about a 2-kilometer hike, enough to, you know, spark some inspiration and tucker them out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we'll send them on home.
Yeah, and Avli will be there. Our daughter will be there. She's excited.
Yay, I too.
She's a bit of a mascot, I guess, of OVAP. I'm sure that if you're following us, you've probably seen her before.
Yeah.
And so we are also introducing, just special for the International Women's Day, we're going to introduce a women's hike as well. So tell us more about that.
For sure. So we're really lucky in our part to have the Nopeme Game Sanctuary, and on the other side of the what's our river called?
Madawaska.
Madawaska. Thank you, not the Beckamere. Madawaska. We have another really special area in town, the Gillies Grove Old Growth Forest. So yeah, a lot of lumber happening in the area in our history here, and this piece of land was protected from all of that. It's a true old growth forest, and it's really quite special when you get in there. The tall trees, and it's so serene. So yeah, we're gonna do a little Girlies Grove hike in Gillies Grove.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be next week. We'll have a nice full moon to enjoy. So we're gonna go out to the river and see the full moon, the sunset, and yeah, it should be a really cute time. I think it's gonna be a great time.
I think that'll be very cool. So if you watch until the end of this, you will find out how you can get a special discount to come along on that women's tour as well. So anyway, keep watching. So I think now we're gonna just get into some of our favorite products that are kind of more women specific-ish. Some of them are unisex, but anyway, we'll just jump right into it. So the first one that I'm gonna talk about is actually the sweater that I'm wearing. It is the O'Neill Hazel Fleece, and it's so soft. Like it feels like you're wearing
Like
a hug. Like,
yeah.
it's beautiful. I really love the color of it too. This is actually a discontinued color. They're not going to be continuing with this color. And it's very, very soft. It's got the nice like high collar on it, which is great. I do find whenever I go to the ski hill on like a cooler day, I don't even wear like a neck warmer at all because this is good enough for me. It's a great layer. It is like, it's nice and warm because it's pretty thick. The other like great thing that I like about this too is that I've washed this, I don't know, probably 6 times now, and like it still looks just as good as the brand new one. I'm amazed.
Feel it?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
nice and soft.
It's like I don't put it in the dryer, but I let it hang dry. I put it in the dryer for like maybe a couple of minutes just to like bring the fleece back or whatever, like the softness. But yeah, the fluff, exactly. But I really like it. I really love the O'Neill brand. It's so a little bit about the history of it. I don't know if you knew this or not, but so Jack O'Neill is the man behind the O'Neill name. He actually like revolutionized. He's a bit of a pioneer in the like wetsuits, neoprene wetsuits. He's the first one to introduce neoprene wetsuits. He didn't invent neoprene, but like he was the first wetsuit for like specifically for surfing that he invented. So he really, really cares about the ocean, and that was kind of his big initiative. Unfortunately, he's no longer with he passed away a few years ago, but like the O'Neill brand continues to just protect our oceans as much as they can. So they use sustainable materials and have a lot of like efforts towards cleaning up our oceans, which I just thought that was really nice. And
awesome.
yeah, so I just really like the O'Neill brand, not just because it all looks pretty and feels nice, but it's also like a sustainable, nice, good brand.
Yeah.
So which do you want to do the fleece?
Yeah, sure. Speaking of keeping your neck warm,
This is fleece.
Yeah, I think this was the first thing I bought this winter season, and I'm so glad I did, and I can't believe I hadn't had one before. I don't know if it's common for most ladies, but my head will be warm because I got a lot of hair, but my neck could be cold. So I don't necessarily want to wear a balaclava, and this it really makes such a difference for keeping me cozy. And it's a really easy layer to take off. That's what I find hiking. I'll run warm pretty easily, and so it's on and off with layers. And yeah, this has been a staple. It's in my kit every single time I leave.
And it's nice and cozy too, and
Yep.
easy to pack, which
Really
is
soft. Yeah. And when you have that, against your face, you want that level of softness. So
Mhm.
I appreciate that. And Combi is really well known for warm winter wear. Lots of gloves as well we offer here. Yeah. So this is
Canadian brand too.
yeah, that's true too.
Yeah. So then I also have these Swix. Oh my goodness. One moment. So the Swix Tista top is really nice. So it's just a nice like lightweight base layer. I really love how soft it is. I really love the color of it. I think it's just really it's not too flashy. Like it's flashy enough, but it's just I don't know. I just really love the style of it. Like whether you are on the trails cross country skiing or you're coming into the chalet or wherever, like you're going out for a drink with your friends, you don't even have to wear it while you're cross country skiing. It is built for that. I love the half zip gives you that versatility to pull it down just in case if you are working a little bit hard, because I cross country skied for the first time this year and I realized that it's a lot of work. It's fun. I really enjoyed it, but yeah, like I couldn't wear something like this. This would be way too warm.
Yeah.
So having a nice lightweight, breathable base layer is great for cross country skiing. Again, love the look of this one too. Yeah, it's just one of my favorites, and it's on sale. That's why I did mean to say that as well. All of our winter apparel is 35% off right now. So this is actually $91 now, and it's so it's a good deal. Feels nice and
nice and vibrant too, which is great for visibility when you're going out and about.
yes, very true.
Something to consider.
Let's see here. How about
Yeah. So Dally is it is the pants maybe.
yeah. Oh, did I? Oh, sorry, I gave you the wrong.
I was thinking of the skirt I want to talk about, but Dally is a great brand anyway, and I can actually describe the skirt.
Here, you know what? I do have the skirt.
Oh, great, yeah.
My bad.
I wanted to talk about this guy because I've had a lot of really cool conversations with women who have come in the store who like to go cross country skiing, and to outfit yourself, there's different parts of the body to keep warm. We'll talk more about how women's clothing can be designed in a bit of a frustrating way that I've encountered. I really like this as a solution for keeping your core warm. So you're going to be wearing your leggings, maybe you're wearing a jacket, but to have that central area of your body to stay warm but have the flexibility and mobility of the skirt. A lot of our customers have been talking about how really great this is design-wise for cross-country skiing and just, for being mobile and active outside. So I wanted to highlight this.
And it's still feminine too, because it's a skirt, which is kind of nice too. And the zipper is also, does it go all the way?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so say you're sitting down and you want to take that layer off, really easy to just discreetly make yourself comfortable. Yeah. Oh, I mentioned. Yeah, and so the sale price for this guy is $91 after our sale this winter.
Yeah.
Can I just put it over here?
Sure, yeah, I can put it over here though. Wherever.
Yeah,
So this isn't women specific, of course. We have our drifter snowshoes. I think we brought these on last year. It was kind of our first winter product actually. And so Scott and I have used them quite a few times. They're nice and lightweight, like they're super light. They're really easy to adjust, which ease of use for me is huge, especially when your hands are cold and you're outside and you've got gloves on and you're just struggling with it. You never struggle with these. I love that about them. I love that they have the heel lifter as well. So when you're going up those hills, it's a lot easier. Yeah. They also have the crampons on the bottom too. So they give you just a lot of traction, and it's so much easier for floating on top of when you get a lot of snow. We've had a lot of snow this winter. It's been kind of a weird winter, we get snow, we get rain, but whenever we do get lots of snow, I do really love these drifter snowshoes. They're super lightweight, like I said. They come in a variety of nice colors, and they're super affordable. These are $89. It's really hard to find a good pair of snowshoes for a price like that. So. Yeah, I really love those.
And we do use those drifter snowshoes on our hikes. So yeah, depending on the trail conditions, we'll either provide a snowshoe or because earlier in the season we had a little less snow, we went out in crampons one time, and that really worked well for us.
And it also gives you a chance to try them out too. If you're curious about purchasing some, you can come out to one of our hikes and try them out.
Yeah.
So do
Yeah. So this is on my wish list. These are so beautiful, and oh, look at that color. So Smith is known for their helmets and their goggles. And if you're heading to the hill, either snowboarding or skiing, this is a really great thing to have with you, especially because there's a special lens on these guys. They're a photochromatic chromo pop is the name that Smith has designed for them. And so they shift with the light. So if it's a bright sunny day or if it's a cloudy day, these guys can be in your kit and you can just wear them because they will shift to adjust. So I really love that because, I guess you have been snowboarding. And so have you encountered that where you can't quite see really well because the white on the white and then there's a pocket or a surprise ice chunk. And so having that polarized and chromo pop lens feature to really be able to see the depth of things, just helps me feel a lot more confident on the hill. And these are certainly on my wish list. They're so beautiful.
Yeah, the Smith brand, they make just amazing goggles for sure. You always notice maybe not the average person, but because we run a store like this, when you go to the hill, you definitely notice a lot of Smith goggles, a lot of Smith helmets. It's a big brand in the industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can put that over here.
And I appreciate how many options we have too. We brought in a whole ton of different options and varieties and colors. We're getting a little bit lower because they are on such a great sale. So we're running a little bit low on our inventory, but still a lot of really cool, sleek options.
These ones are $211.25 right now with the sale. So we are at 7:30 now, so I think we'll go into our next. We have other things as well that we can show you on another show. But so we wanted to talk a little bit about the challenges and fears that women face in the outdoors, and I think it'll be interesting to talk about this because Sandy is very much an outdoorsy. You've done solo camping, you've basically went out into the wilderness and you've lived there for a couple of days, whereas I've never really done something like that. To be honest, I don't really like to camp. It's never really been for me. I like running water. I like I know I'm a bit of an outdoorsy princess. I love to be outside from the moment I wake up in the morning. I will make my tea, I will go outside and I'll be out there until it's time to go to sleep. But once I sleep, I want to be in my king size bed with my pillow. I have special pillows. So I'm not huge on sleeping in the outdoors. I love to be in the outdoors. Anyway,
there's so many ways to enjoy the outdoors. There's no wrong way to enjoy the outdoors.
To sleep in them, but anyway, I think the other thing was that it's not because I'm a woman. It's not that I'm afraid to. I don't really like to, go to the bathroom in the outdoors. It's not my thing. I would rather have running water. It is a little bit easier for a man to do that, but I just wanted to let you know that it's not because I'm a woman. It's just because it's not for me and whatever. Like I said, I love to spend the entire day outdoors. I do have a bit of a silly fear of wild animals. So going into the nature and just onto a hike by myself, I often am worried that there's going to be some sort of wild animal, especially at night. I guess that's another reason why I don't want to be camping outside at night, because the nocturnal animals are what scare me the most, honestly.
And that's fair. I don't think it's a silly fear to be aware of the risks. Women have to consider more risks when just out and about in the world. There's some preparation and effort that we put into making ourselves feel safe and prepared.
Yes. Yeah. So what are some tips that you would have for feeling safe and prepared?
Yeah. So I think first thing is whether you're going alone on a hike or with someone, always letting someone know where you are, your plans. Let them know when to expect to hear from you. So if that doesn't happen, you got someone looking out for you. And there's a couple other tools too. I'm sure some women in the audience might be familiar with the anecdote of, would you rather meet a man or a bear in the woods? There are some risks that we have to consider. And this does put my mind at ease. This is some bear spray, and I don't hit a trail without it.
Yeah.
I have encountered some bears on hikes, and it's never ever been a problem. They're usually just a dark mass in the distance that once they hear you coming, they don't really want anything to do with you.
Absolutely.
And helpful in that regard too is I always have a whistle. It's a bit dorky. It sits around my neck, and it's really close to my mouth if I have to use it. Bear bells.
Safety first.
Yeah, bear bells are a technology. I think they were really popular in the last couple decades, but I've heard that they don't have a high enough frequency, or they're not loud enough for bears to actually really hear you.
Okay.
So I'll just, blast out a little tune as I'm coming around a corner, or if there's lots of foliage and I can't really quite see very far ahead on the path. So just making lots of noise, and then they'll get out of my way very happily.
Yeah, I think when I was a kid, because we had the cottage, we used to go on a lot of nature walks up behind our cottage, and I remember always reading about what you're supposed to do if you were to meet a bear. I'm always like terrified. I used to have like dreams about it, honestly. Like, and this is why I'm so afraid. It's not an unvalidated fear. It's just I know it's most likely not going to happen.
Yeah.
But like I know like you're supposed to, make yourself big and like be loud and
don't run away.
I think
don't turn your back.
Honestly, I've seen so many like videos of people who do come across them, or like a mountain lion when they're just like going for a hike, and I'm like, oh, I don't want that to happen. It's scary.
Man, I never want to see a mountain lion. If I never get to see one, that's okay, because that means that I never encountered one on a trail.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Same with coyotes, I think, in this area. So out in BC, we've got black bears, grizzly bears, mountain lions, wolves. And this part of the country, we have a little less to worry about, thankfully. But there are still, like coyotes are a predator that aren't too shy around humans. So
absolutely.
Yeah, just gotta.
And they will come into cities too. Like that's the thing about them is they're not afraid.
Yeah.
But I think that fear, and I guess I had the other fear for me would just be of the unknown, because I don't do a lot. Well, I don't camp, right? Like I have when I was a kid, but I don't really know what to expect, I guess. And I'm sure if I learned a little bit more about it, then maybe I'd be a little more comfortable with it. Yeah. But I think my fears just completely disappear when I have a friend with me, when I have like a hiking buddy, someone who I can go with. Then it's like I don't even like the like little voice in my head that says there's going to be a wild animal, it's going to get you. It's just gone. Like I don't even think of it at all, because when you're with someone else and you're talking, that's it too, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're walking by yourself, you're not normally saying anything, so they can creep up on you.
Well, sometimes if I go on a hike alone, I'll actually listen to a downloaded podcast out loud, just to have some noise happening around me. Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Good to know. Yeah, I think I wouldn't mind trying camping at some point in my life. There's some very cool like areas of Algonquin Park that I would love to just wake up and see in the morning, right? That's the photographer in me is like, I need to see these things. I just anyway, I can get over it.
Well, that's actually a tip that I have is, if you're thinking of going out either alone or with a small group, our parks are such a nice way to do that, because there's a ton of infrastructure there. There's going to be an office, there's going to be rangers, usually people with first aid training. And then also that kind of idea of folks around you who have the same values of, they want to be out in nature, and they might have like some preparedness and a history with that. The memory of hiking at Acre, they had a really nice trail right in the campground. You could go and you don't have to leave the campsite. You can just walk and enjoy the space. And that felt really safe to me. And you pass someone on the trail, you give a little hello and a Canadian, smile as you go by. Folks are interested in kind of getting out there and starting at a national park campground is a really nice, safe, accessible way to do that.
Yeah, that's a really good tip too. For those of you who are also like me, who are curious about it.
Yeah. And when I camp, I think I've only camped alone in a tent maybe 1 or 2 nights. But I'm really lucky that I have a vehicle that I've been able to build a little platform in the back, so I can do some car camping really comfortably.
Yeah. That appeals to me.
Yeah. I built like a custom little mattress that's in there, and you get pillows. I put little string lights in there. It's
cute.
It's really glampy. And
you've shown me like your trunk before, and we should do a video on that. It's so cool. She's got like all these little compartments for everything, and you storage. Have, like something that comes out. I think like a table.
A little slide table that comes out. Yeah,
super cool.
I've made some, random ad hoc lunches on that little table. Yeah, and it's also really nice that I can lock the door when I go to sleep.
Yeah.
Having that comforting click of the lock of like, great, now I can sleep, and a bear's not gonna get me, nothing's coming after me.
Yeah, no bears, no man.
No, nice serene solitude.
Yeah, the car camping, I feel like maybe I could do.
Yeah, I'll take you. We'll go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and it's pretty tall. I think because you're much taller than I am, but the length of the bed in back there, the platform in my car is around 6 feet 4 inches.
Oh, hey,
Yeah,
okay.
you should be okay.
There we go. We'll have to do it. So that kind of leads into a little bit of a few tips for learning new outdoor activities. I'm currently learning how to snowboard right now, and it has been humbling to say the least. Yes, I have definitely spent more time on my bum than on my feet, but I just wanted to go over a few kind of like tips for learning something new at any age. Like I'm 34 years old and I'm learning how to snowboard now. I think a great tip would be if you're younger than me, start now. And if you have kids, it's a great idea to, if you have the interest, of course, and if your kids have the interest in it, to get them out onto a hill or even just going to the hill to see what it's like and see if they're interested in it. But anyway, a couple of the like tips that I've learned is take a lesson for sure. I didn't want to take a lesson. I was like, I just want to just go and do it. But obviously that's not realistic. You need to take a lesson. So that's definitely number one on my tips list. The other thing that I've definitely been doing is researching. I've literally like every night before bed, I'm like watching like snowboarding videos. I'm like, let me figure out this toe edge thing because it's hard, man. I'm having a really hard time with that. The heel edge is not so bad, but anyway, I think watching videos, reading lots, and even talking to your friends who do snowboard, like Sandy snowboards and Megan snowboards. So I was talking to you guys a little bit about it too, and that's also helpful, I find. What would be some tips for you for?
I'm a big research person. I find a lot of comfort approaching something new by having read about it. And we're lucky with the access to information we have, right? So yeah, whether it's on like a blog or on TikTok, you can just find those, direct insights that folks are offering of their experiences. So yeah, I do a lot of that. Yeah, and adventure buddies are also really nice, even if you're both learning at the same time. I've gotten more into snowshoeing this year, and it's like, okay, there's certainly a cadence to the steps to make sure I don't trip. I did trip today on my snowshoe. Yeah, so and
having poles also helpful.
Yeah, and just that like lightheartedness of okay, so I tripped, and okay, so I got some bruised knees because I went down the hill on some ice.
Yeah,
it's all a part of the fun, and just being grateful to have the physical ability to do those things.
Absolutely.
Just do what you can and take it easy on yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Have fun.
Exactly. Be patient with yourself. So I had seen this in a video recently. It was a snowboarding video, and it said progress is not linear, and that has just really stuck with me because that's one. Like we went to Edelweiss, and I was like, I'm shredding, man. Like I was like going down the hill pretty fast, and I was like, oh, look at me go! Like I was so proud of myself. And then we went to the bunny hill the next time, and I ate it, man. I hit my head. It was not a good scenario, and I'm like, but last time, like I was literally going so fast down the hill, and this time I can't go down the bunny hill. But you got to be patient with yourself. Just keep going. You can do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think.
Have snacks. Incentivize yourself.
That is true. Yes, and celebrate your victories,
Yeah.
right? If you do something good, like go have a beer in the chalet or whatever is good for you. Another thing that I just wanted to mention as well is dressing well and preparing. Like you have your whistle and your bear spray. Those are great things to prepare and be safe when you're out taking a hike in the woods. So also just dressing though, Sandy knows all about like your layering, and can you just maybe speak on that?
Yeah, especially in the winter. So there's a saying to start bold and cold. You want to be warm, but being too warm and having some sweat on your body, having that dampness can really be problematic because you lose body heat so much faster when you're damp, when you're wet, and that can be pretty crucial during the winter. So Lena had showed us a really nice base layer. And so it's all about layers. I kind of have them on myself where the t-shirt is a great one that it can be damp and against my body and not be uncomfortable. And then I really love merino wool and merino wool blends. We have really nice Helly Hansen merino wool blends here that are really great so that they can be damp, but they'll still maintain that warmth. So no matter how many, there's really great synthetic technology available too, but I love going back to wool. It's nice, it doesn't actually hold on to too many body odors, so I've had years and years of use out of my clothing. And I think, yeah, that's a nice way of being a responsible outdoors person, is you get the gear that will last a long time. You don't need 6 base layers, and I often find some secondhand too. So it's a nice way to be accessible into an industry that, it could get expensive. All these hobbies we want to do.
It is true.
But yeah, just having the good gear makes such a difference. And I'll mention for a couple things for coats. So if you're out in the winter, you want to have something nice and warm. Today was a really mild, snowy day. So I actually wore my raincoat on my hike today. So that's to keep some moisture off, because if I had been wearing my puffy jacket, that would have gotten damp and the feathers clumped together, and they end up being an unsafe coat to wear out in the winter, because that dampness does sit close to your body and takes your body temperature.
Yeah, so that's not only does it depend on what your activity is that you're doing, but also on the weather as well. And maybe we can even do another show on just layering, because there's so much that you can go into with that.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then as promised, of course, we have our special discount code to those of you who are.
We've got somebody who wants to see a photo of the owl.
Oh.
If you want to,
Are we able
Hold up the
to?
camera?
How do we?
I think I can. I don't know if I can.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, bring it a little closer, maybe.
There we go.
That was the boreal owl.
And it was so fluffy. You know how birds and chickadees can really look quite a lot fluffier in the winter too, as a way of maintaining the body heat closer to their bodies. They fluff up their feathers.
And they look so much cuter like that too. But they're always cute.
And he was hanging out with us for quite a while, so we passed him on our way to the Marsh Tower board lookout, and he was still there on our way back too.
That's so cool. Yeah, I'm so jealous. I wish I was there for that.
Yeah. We had a lot of guests who owls are their favorite animal, and so it was so special for those guests to see this guy.
Yeah, owls are so cool. So we, if anyone is interested in that women's hike that we have coming up, I think it's next Thursday, March 13th.
Yep.
From 6 until 7:30.
That's right. Yeah. So the sun set, because yay, daylight savings happens this weekend. The sun will set around 7:09 p.m. So we're gonna get out to the river, enjoy the sunset, have a cozy little beverage before we head on back to our cars, and I'm really excited for it.
Awesome. So yeah, if you guys would like to join, your special discount code we can send to you if you send us a DM or comment on this video. Just ask for your special discount, and we will send it to you momentarily. And we'll also post tomorrow our pictures from our past adventures and anything else that we can think of that we talked about tonight on the show. But that's pretty much everything that we had prepared. If there are any questions that you guys have for us, feel free to drop them in the comments now, and we will do our best to answer them.
So, Melissa McKay asked where we saw the boreal owl.
Yeah, so on the McNamara Trail in the Nopalming Game Sanctuary here in Arnprior, there's a couple nice little loops that you can leave the trail. So on your way to Goodwin's Bay, you'll turn left on the Marsh Tower lookout. It's really nicely, clearly marked. They've done such a nice job of marking their trails in there. So turning left towards the Marsh Tower, and it was basically right in the shoreline, probably within 20 feet of the marsh shoreline there. It was actually at first on next to the trunk of the tree, right on the ground. And my dad happened to be on the hike with us, and he noticed just a small movement. And he thought maybe it's a squirrel's tail. Gave it a couple extra seconds of a look, and this little owl was at the base of the tree, and it ended up flying up and hanging out on the branch for a little while too. And yeah, it had to have been no bigger than this. Just like a little Furby.
So cute.
That's awesome. Your mom says hi.
Oh. Do you have any other?
We had one lady ask if we ordered any more pakayaks, and the answer is yes.
Oh, well, yes, we do. We are ordering, or we have them on the way, maybe.
Not quite yet.
Maybe not. We will soon.
Yeah, they'll be here in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks. Our spring orders are coming in soon. We're working on that.
So for folks who don't know, Pakayak is another really interestingly designed kayak for storage. So the folding kayaks or inflatable kayaks are really cool for that reason. A lot of ability to pack them away small. And these kayaks are nice because they still have that hard body kayak experience and the weight to them that, sometimes you don't want to sacrifice the performance of your kayaking with a super lightweight option. So yeah, it actually comes apart into 6 pieces. It's a 12-foot boat into 6 pieces that stack like a little Russian nesting doll. It's, really cool technology.
They're awesome. So Scott and I took our 2 kayaks out last year, just below, like the Ottawa River, just below the Parliament. And so we didn't realize that there's some rapids there. It's a little bit more, I guess, advanced paddling than we thought that it was. And we were very happy that we had the kayaks because, we actually went upriver a little bit to, I forget the name of the island, Victoria Island, I think it's called there. But there was some pretty strong current, a little bit of rapids that we had to cross, and we felt completely safe in the kayaks. Like they took the rapids on like it was nothing. So yeah, it was awesome. We really like those kayaks.
Awesome. We've got another kind of comment from Melissa who'd asked about the owl. She said she heard a barred owl there 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that's cool. Nice. Oh, I just love owls. They're just the coolest, and they're so like elusive. Like you don't ever see them, so that's why it's just so exciting that you guys saw an owl. Oh my goodness.
I watched a really interesting video about owls and how silently they fly.
Yes.
And like scientifically, they're having a hard time explaining how they can be so silent and they're can be really big and have quite broad wingspans. So yeah.
Oh yeah, they're quite the hunters too, really. They're I went searching for a snowy owl the other day on my way home from Petawawa, but unfortunately I didn't find one. I've seen them in that area before, in like the Cobden area, but there weren't any this time. But they're the coolest to see too. Also, I don't know if they might have flown back up north now. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Our weather's been so all over the place. Who knows?
Yeah.
We have a question from Jackie. Is there a short hike for tired and old people?
Well, actually, both of the hikes that we offer are really accessible. So the Grove and the McNamara Trail don't have a ton of elevation gain. So if you go at your own pace, they're really quite nice and accessible, with lots of great things to look at on the way. So yeah, there's great excuses for taking rests and checking out, this white pine tree, or what was that bird I heard? Let's listen and try to figure it out. So both the McNamara Trail and the Grove are awesome. And we'll be offering more of a variety of accessible hikes coming up.
And we definitely take breaks on these hikes too, like to feed the birds and whatnot.
Yeah, and to point out the cool things that, it's nice to go with someone who knows what to look for. I was in there today and I saw turkey footprints for the first time. Yeah. And I think on one of the hikes we went in there and there was like tufts of fur that we were trying to identify.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have my suspicions it was an unfortunate squirrel that may have lost parts of his tail, either that or a bear. So the McNamara Trail has hosted a bear before. They have trail cams up there, so there's lots of deer, foxes, raccoons. Just a treat to try to go see some wildlife. Oh, and I should mention too, the Grove has a den of foxes that live in the field near the Grove, and I saw a ton of fox prints today. So
that's cool.
Yeah, and they're like an elusive, beautiful creature that I would love to see one in person. On the trail. Yeah.
What does the fox say?
You don't want to hear my impression.
We have another question from Marissa, which is, will you guys ever do another giveaway?
Oh, well then, of course we will. We don't have anything scheduled yet, but I'm sure once spring gets here, we'll probably have some sort of summer giveaway. I'm sure that we will.
We had a nice, was it a giveaway contest where some folks won some skis?
Yes.
Yeah.
We did a winter contest. So we also partnered with Calabogie Peaks with that as well. We gave away a few of the Peaks passes as well. It was a lovely lady and her boyfriend, I believe, in Ottawa who came and picked them up.
Thanks.
Yeah. And then we also did the little cola.
Yeah.
We had a little polar bear who we were hiding in the store here too, and people would come in and have to figure out where he was and then put a little ballot in a box. So we had a few winners from that too.
Yeah, that was a really fun thing that we did. Yeah.
Cool. I think that's all the questions.
All right.
Well, thank you for tuning in, everyone, and thank you, Sandy, for joining me.
Yeah, you too. It was really nice chatting with you. I know we've been looking forward to having these cool chats, and nice to be able to share them with you guys too.
Yeah, if anyone has anything else that they can think of later on, drop it in the comments. We will put out our post tomorrow and we can answer any questions then as well.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.